I'm going to apologize in advance if the lighting is not as good in this video today again, because just a reminder, Arya chewed the cord to my ring light. Precious little bean. So we're just working with natural lighting today, which is not even that good. It's not sunny out whatsoever. So the lighting might be a little wonky. We're just gonna roll with it. First, I have a bone to pick with like everyone in the universe, even though it's only my fault. Who was gonna tell me, and when were people gonna tell me, that there is an Adam Driver, specifically Rey and Kylo Ren fan fiction that has been published into a novel? If you aren't aware, which everyone should be, because I do make it a personality trait, I love Adam Driver.
I also have another Last Jedi poster, but it's a giant like movie one from Family Video, so I don't have that in my apartment here. And I have like 4 Kylo Ren mugs, but those are all also at my parents' house, but I think you get the gist.
Like, I'm obsessed. And I have loved him since he was on Girls, the HBO show, and he played a character named Adam in there, and I was always just like, oh, I loved him in that show, and I loved his character in that show, even though he was like trash, but I couldn't help but love him. And then I saw this book going around and I was like, I truly don't care about it. Like, it's a traditionally published book. It was like a book of the month book, and I just don't really like traditionally published books. But then one of my friends was like, did you know that this was a Rey and Kylo fanfic? And I was like, no, but I need it now. So I'm on the wait list for my library. I'm number like 100 and something, so it'll be weeks until I get it. Anything Adam Driver, I need it. House of Gucci comes out like almost on my birthday this year, and that truly is the gift that I needed. So anyways, that's not what we're here for today. So a few weeks back in one of my videos, I can't remember which one it was now, I made a comment about one of these books having a scene in it, and I was like, this is like Spice Hall of Fame for me. And then in that moment, I was like, I should make a Spice Hall of Fame video, and then I was like, that's stupid, like no. And then I had multiple people comment of being like, yes, do a Spice Hall of Fame video. I was just like, you know what, why not? Let's just talk about it. It's just gonna be a fun video, a very lighthearted video, and I'm just gonna talk about the scenes that live rent-free in my mind and what books they're from. So in case if you hear about a scene that might be interesting to you, you have some books to pick out. Obviously, all of these books are very, very spicy, 18+. So just be aware of that. Also, I just want to preface this video by saying that these books are not necessarily going to be the spiciest books that I've ever read or like the smuttiest books that I've ever read. I could do a video like that. But these ones specifically are for me of either like really unique scenes, really well written scenes, ones that stand out, ones where the story like built up to it so much that then when the scene happened, I was like, yes. It's gonna be more scenes like that where they're like a little more unique, a little more memorable, you know, do a lot for the story than just smut for the sake of smut. So just a forewarning on that. But all of these books, I promise, deliver in the spice department. I mean, there's really no other way to kick off this video than with the queen herself, Miss Penelope Douglas. Every book that she writes has Immaculate Spice, but there's a certain couple of scenes in this one. I genuinely think that out of every single book that I've read, this hands down would be one that I would rate like some of the best spice, because it's not the spiciest I've ever read. Like, I've read ones where like there's a lot higher of a frequency of it in there, but this one genuinely, I think because of like all of the tension and the characters, like it's just so well done to me in here. There's a scene with Tiernan and her cousin. Okay, wait. I should preface it. Tiernan and her step-cousins in the living room right after her birthday night, and they're just talking about how they get by in the winter because they do get snowed into the cabin where they are at. And, you know, they just kind of talk about how they pass the time when they're up there. Couch scene, immaculate. If you've read it, you know. I'm not really going to give synopses of any of these. I'm just going to kind of talk about the scenes because otherwise this would be a much longer video. I'll just give a very, very brief overview that this book follows Tiernan, and after both of her parents die, she moves in with her step uncle and his 2 sons. So there's no blood relation whatsoever, and she's literally never met these people. She has no clue who they are, and she moves into their cabin in Colorado, I believe, to live with them. Some things go from there. And there's also another one in here that is like after a fire and like Tiernan's injured and Uncle Jake is away for the night, If you know, you know. Truly, honestly, some of the best spice ever. I'm just gonna get all of the Penelope Douglas ones out of the way. Not out of the way. If you haven't read these, please do. But just get them all lumped in together. So next I have Corrupt, which is the first book in the Devil's Night series. This one can be read as a standalone, but the other ones you need to like kind of read them in order. This one follows Rika and Michael, and Rika has always been dating Michael's younger brother, but she's always had a crush on Michael, and she does something to get some of his friends sent away to prison, and once they get out, they are seeking revenge. It's darker, it's on the darker side, but personally that does not bother me. And there's a scene in here right at the end with a sauna with her, Michael, and you know, maybe one of their friends. Immaculate, so good, so good. I love this. Rent free in this noggin. And to kind of go along with it is Hideaway. This is book 2, so this is Kai and Banks' book. So Kai is one of Michael's friends, and you do get quite a bit of him, if you know what I mean, in Corrupt. And then this is his story specifically, and Banks has a relation with one of the other characters in here, but I don't really want to get into too spoiler of plot. But it is an arranged marriage, which is really cool, really fun, and Kai just is my favorite. I love Kai. And there's a scene between him and Banks up in, I think it's in an apartment or in a hotel. I cannot remember where they're at, but at this point, like, Kai is just like done with Banks, and they've reached this kind of like boiling point in their relationship, and Kai is finally like, you know what, we're just gonna get at it. And Banks keeps one final secret from Kai until it's too late, and then Kai has to kind of rectify the situation, if you can catch my drift here. So good. I just really, really love Kai, and I think that's why that this one sticks out, and also because their relationship is so contentious up until this point, and even like in the scene leading up to certain things happening, there is like so much tension and fighting between the two of them that then when they finally do get together, such a dichotomy to how Kai treats her then with like love and care, and oh, it's just perfect. It's perfect. Okay, next is the book that I'm pretty sure this was the one who inspired this whole video, and that is Twisted Love by Anna Huang. So if you don't know, this is like one of my favorite books of this year. I just absolutely love this book in the series. Twisted Games is also incredible, and Twisted Hate is coming out, I think, like in December of this year. Oh my god, I never try to get ARCs because I'm just such a mood reader that I don't like to sign up for ARCs, because if I'm not in the mood for it, I don't want to read it, and obviously that's not really like fair then to take an ARC from someone else who like would like to read it. But I am going to try to get an ARC of Twisted Hate. I'm going to apply for it this time because like I need it. This follows Ava and Alex as his brother's best friend, grumpy sunshine, all that goodness. But there's a scene in here. Alex is a very successful CEO businessman, and him and Ava are up away in a hotel room having like a little getaway, but Alex needs to take a business call that interrupts them, and Alex doesn't let the business call slow things down. He makes sure that he takes care of Ava while also taking care of business. Oh, it is just top tier, so good. Alex Volkov, just like top book boyfriend for me right now. I'm just obsessed with him. Okay, this next one I don't own a physical paperback of, but I do own the ebook of, and that is The Doctor by Nikki Sloan. So this one is an ex-boyfriend's dad's romance, which I love this trope. I have a whole recommendation video of this trope. This one follows Cassidy, who her boyfriend's a piece of shit. They break up and she starts seeing his dad, Dr. Lowe. I can't remember his first name, but does it really matter? No. So one night in this book, he sends Cassidy home because he has to like do an emergency surgery or something. So he's like, you go home, you wait for me, and then when I get home, I'll like see you there. And so she goes home and she's waiting for him, and he comes home and he's just still, you know, in his doctor mode, if you know what I'm saying. This book is jam-packed with spice. Like, I think that's probably the focus of this book more, is the spice. But this scene, somehow there's so much tension built within this scene specifically, and it just takes its time, and it's just like, oh, you're like sitting there getting as like frustrated as Cassie is, because you're like, oh my god, can you not bat at the blinds, please? Arya Wren, please get down. This scene is immaculate. This book, this spice, Nikki Sloan writes incredible spice, but this book in particular, there's just something about this scene with Dr. Lowe. my God, get out of here. And then I'll tag this other one onto the end of this one, and that is The Architect by Nikki Sloan. So it's in the same series. You do not need to read them in order. Like if you want to jump to The Architect, that's perfectly fine. You don't have to read The Doctor or The Pool Boy to make this one make sense. I can't remember any of their names. I'm sorry, I didn't look them up beforehand. But this one woman who meets her neighbor one night and they start up like a relationship. However, he travels a lot for work. So they have like a friends with benefits only kind of situation. He realizes, you know, like I'm going to be away for work a lot and I can't be here in person to take care of you. So what if I find someone who can? Oh my God. The spice in this one too is just so fucking hot. There is a scene in this one specifically where they go to a club where he takes her. He's like a member of this like exclusive club, and they kind of walk around the club. They see some things at the club. It's a special club. It's not like a music club. It's a special club. And they watch some things, and then they maybe like find their third member and kind of like, you know, interview him, if you know what I mean. It's like so cool. It's so good. Oh my God, I just recorded that whole thing and then I went to hit stop and then I started. So let's try this again. Dark Notes by Pam Godwin. This is, I think, definitely the darkest book on my list, so make sure you check up trigger warnings for this. So one of the trigger warnings that I don't think is mentioned on Goodreads or that I saw is that there is animal violence in this one, which, as I've said in the past, that is my only trigger in books. So if that's something for you as well, just know that going in here. It does take place towards the end of the book, but you can DM me if that's something for you. If you're going to read this and like you need to know what page, I can try to like look it back up and find it, but honestly, I just like skimmed that kind of part because I don't want to know about it. So Dark Notes is a dark BDSM student teacher romance. Ivory is a high school student. She's getting ready to graduate. She's at like, I think she's at some more like private school. She's not like rich to be a private school. I think she's on like scholarship or something. And she has a really rough home life, but her one out is her piano playing, and Emmerich is her piano teacher. He definitely sees something in Ivory, and the more he learns about her home life, the more he wants to like take her in and protect her. So that's what he does. There's this scene in here that Ivory does something that kind of pisses Emmerich off a bit. He's in his like grand ballroom because of course he's rich and he's playing the piano, and Ivory walks in and Emmerich gives her a punishment. He ties her to the piano while he still keeps playing. But he, you know, you'll just have to read it to find out. It's so good. I really like the BDSM element in their relationship in this because so much of this book is Ivory learning to trust Emmerich and just to kind of trust people again in general. It works very well in this one. As I said, definitely darker though, but personally, I love this book. One of my favorite student teacher books of all time. Okay, next is Blame It on the Tequila by Fiona Cole. This one is the second book in her Blame It on the Alcohol series. I don't think you necessarily need to read Blame It on the Champagne first. This one is a step-sibling rock star second chance romance, and there's a scene in here between Nova and what is the dude's name? I can't remember what the guy's name is, but I know her name is Nova, and she's always been friends with this band and like is close with the other guys. You know, she's like pretty decent friends with them. And Nova and Parker are hooking up in a hotel room when they're on a bit of a stop, and as they're hooking up they realize, oh, is that Ash over in the chair over there? I kind of quote as being like the quote, it's just Ash scene, because if you know, you know, and you know, we're all friends here. Incredible. Okay, next is literally the entirety of the Off Balance series. I know it's controversial. I know it's not going to be everyone's thing, but I am a ride or die for the Off Balance series. One of my all-time favorite series of all time. And Lucia Franco, her Spice writing is just, immaculate. She has like a 60-page Spice scene in one of her books. I can't remember which one it is, but anyways, her Spice and her books just deliver. But so this entire series, super spicy. The ones in particular are Execution. This is book 2. You do have to read these books in order. They need to be read in order. Do not read them out of order. They follow the same couple, one timeline. Just trust me, read them in order. But book 2, there's a scene in Kova's office between Rhea and Kova that is just so well written. Like there's nothing super special about it in terms of like there's nothing like crazy in it or anything, but it is just so well done. They seem to have a lot of fun times in his office, so that's a great one. And the other one, which I think is like the majority of fans' favorite standout scene, is in Twist. This is book 4, and I don't know if you can tell on the cover, there's a little A carved into Kova's chest, and that may or may not, high chances on may, take place during one of these scenes in here. There is so much to this scene that is built up through their relationship that I can't get into because it's way too spoilery, but just know there is so much tension between the two of them in this scene. Like, so much shit has happened in their relationship that in this scene everything just kind of boils over and explodes into this insane sex scene, and it's so good and really does a lot for their relationship. And also that A carving, get out of here, get out of here. Anyways, Off Balance series, super taboo, so obviously not gonna be for everyone, but just fantastic spice. Okay, next is Backstage Pass by Olivia Cunney. So this one is another rock star romance. It's between a woman who is a professor, and she's at a conference at a hotel one night and runs into this rock star, and they have a great night, and then he's like, hey, why don't you come to another show? And whatever, kind of goes from there. This book, super spicy and very well written, but also has a good decent amount of plot in it. Like, it's not just full of smut. This is book 1 in a series. I've only read the first 3. This is by far my favorite, and there's a scene in here that takes place in a hotel bathroom between I think her name's Myrna and Brian, I want to say are their 2 names, and one of the other band members. Super hot. Next, I feel like a super commonly known book, that is Priest by Sierra Simone. Super taboo, so good. Again, Sierra Simone writes great spice. This one happens to take place between Father Tyler Bell and I think her name's Poppy, I want to say. He's a Catholic priest, and he sees Poppy and is immediately drawn to her. She kind of makes him question, you know, a lot of the rules the priests must abide by. And I'm not Catholic, so when I was reading this book, I was texting one of my friends who grew up Catholic, and I was like, is this a thing? Is this a thing? And I'm like, they can't even be married? And she was like, literally no. But I didn't know anything about it. I grew up in a non-denominational church, so like our pastor had a wife and kids, and I was like, what do you mean he can't be married? Whatever. There is one scene in here, so I think if you're like a devout Catholic, I would not recommend this book for you, because then these are also a real thing. I had to text my friend and be like, wait, are these like an actual thing in the church? And she was like, yeah, why? And I was like,
no reason, I'm just curious.
There is a scene with some holy oils. I don't think I need to say more, you know. Next is one of my most recent reads, and I did not expect it to be this spicy, and that is A Lady of Brooksgrove Manor. This is a paranormal reverse harem book. I just read this in my Reading Hyped Reverse Harem vlogs, and I read it on Kindle Unlimited, and then Sonia sent me this beautiful copy of it, which I know there's a second book coming out, so I'm very excited for that because, oh, so good. Thank you again to Sonia for sending this to me. I mean, it's just full of spice, like jam-packed with spice. However, there is one scene in here that is just so unique and different than anything that I've ever read. There's a circus that comes around in this world with different monsters and different humans that come around and put on a little show for everyone, but it is not your average circus. Our lady just really enjoys herself, and the 2 men that she goes with, you know, they're more than happy to show her off at the show. It was so good, so spicy, so different, so creative. The creativity in this, Catherine Moon, the creativity you made in this, oh my god. And I'm pretty sure the circus, like that whole idea is getting its own series. One clicking. I am so excited for that. I will be reading that as soon as it comes out. Just immaculate. My last one, because I think this is getting a little out of hand here, the novella Theirs for the Night by Katie Robert. This is a prequel novella to a series. I haven't read the series actually. This was free to buy on Kindle, but then the rest of the books are not on Kindle Unlimited and you have to actually buy them. And I would like to read them at some point, but honestly I just like haven't cared to go back to it. But this novella, so hot. Again, I don't remember any of their names, but this woman goes to a club and she's in like a bit of a rut, I think, and maybe like down on her luck kind of. She goes to a club and she draws the attention of a man and his companion that's with him, and turns out that this man is a prince and it's his bodyguard. The guy like flags her up to his booth and he starts talking and he's like, hey, you know, how'd you feel about coming home with us? Yes, us. And having a night together. And that's what she does. And it's the living room scene in this one. I mean, it's very short. So like basically this scene is like the vast majority of this book. You're at the club, you're in the living room, and you're in the bedroom, and like that's it. Super spicy, well done for being a novella, because I do not typically like novellas, even if they're like spicy ones, because I just don't feel like, I don't like smut just for the sake of smut. Like it has to have some build up between these characters. It has to have some tension, and that is built so quickly. I don't know how Katie Robert does it. The Spice is very well written, great tension built up, and the dynamic of the three of them, like for only meeting these characters, you can really tell a lot by them within this interaction. You are in for a fun time if you read this one. Okay, that's it for this video. I genuinely don't even know if anyone's going to watch this video. We'll see. It was kind of just more for fun. And I do see a lot of people on TikTok making videos of like scenes that live in my head rent free, and like they quickly show them. So I feel like this is kind of along the same lines. It's just in like a longer format, and I guess maybe like a little more detail on the book. So hopefully if you were looking for a spicy read, you found one in this that I can promise delivers. Because if you're coming to my channel here, expect every single book that I talk about to have spice in it, unless if I specifically say otherwise. You know, some of the fantasy books that I read don't, and I do read YA every once in a while still, and obviously those don't have any, and then I say that. But otherwise, any romance book that I'm recommending to you has spice in it, because that's what I like. I'm never gonna recommend you a Fade to Black book, unless if I specifically say it's Fade to Black. But I can't think of the last time I read a book that was Fade to Black, because I just don't want it. That's it for this video today. Oh, and next week, actually I do know what I'm doing, will be my After We Fell reading vlog. I reread After We Fell in preparation for the movie coming out at the first day of October, I think. I wanted to reread the book and see if it still stands up in my memory, because After holds a special place in my heart. I'll get into that all when we get into that video there, but that will be up next week. And that's it. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you when I see you.